And again, it's the football playbook here with Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to your Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL universe, football world, NFL draft, college football landscape, you name it, we got it. Chopping it up, breaking it down here on this December 1st, 2022. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the moon. Get up, get up. I see here during the commercial break, Malcolm Jenkins tweeted out, everyone's asking if I'm coming back. Technically, the Saints have the rights to my contract. I know Eagles fans love a comeback story. Don't think you'll get one this time, but meant what I said. So, if you want your Malcolm Jenkins reunion, it's going to have to run through the New Orleans Saints once again. But one reunion that is going down is A.J. Brown. He's going to link up with the former Tennessee Titans. And I was just thinking about, man, the comment that Dane Vandernat just told us about 3 months. Like, once you take out the exceptions to the rule and the veteran guys, on average, yeah, 2.5, 3 years. But really, if you're not one of those legendary players, your average career is 3 months. Man, what a reality check. So when I hear A.J. Brown talk yesterday and say, I won, because I don't know how many different ways he was asked about playing the Titans. He said, I won. I changed my family's fortunes forever. He's right. That's why you play the game, right? That's what it's about. So he said, hey, I'm sure some in Tennessee still love me. I'm sure some hate my guts. Said it's nothing personal, strictly business. And you can tell that the trade in some ways helped A.J. Brown grow up. And that's what he basically admitted yesterday, was saying, hey, I grew up. I moved on. And he's going to keep his emotions down. He's going to try to stay consistent and worry about things that he can dictate, as he alluded to, doing a better job controlling the football. Yes. Got to protect the ball better, AJ. Despite the circumstances and situations or injuries or popped blood vessel in your eye, whatever it may be. So, he said early on he had mixed emotions, but then he realized he just changed the fortune of his family and said, hey, the way I see it, I won when it's all said and done. And, Nick Sirianni was asked about it. He said, you got to stay the process. Jalen Hurts was asked about it and said, hey, he's just happy to be along on the journey with them. And talked about how much of a hard worker A.J. Brown is, what he brings to the locker room, the sacrifices that he has made. So that was your A.J. Brown kind of moment. Sirianni did meet with the media. I kind of gave you guys the injury update in the first segment. I don't like repeating myself a lot. So one thing we don't want to beat a dead horse on the football playbook. You can always go back and watch the archive and go watch the first segment. But in a nutshell, Jordan Davis, we'll see. He was active in the walkthrough. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, same deal. He said we're going to play it ultra conservative, ultra safe. Now, we did get some questions about the Tennessee Titans, and just like Sirianni met with the media twice this week. He did a Zoom call earlier in the week. Then he met with the media in person yesterday, which he doesn't typically do. But he echoed a lot of some of his earlier sentiments in terms of a lot of respect for Vrabel. I guess Jim Schwartz is on this staff as well. Somebody pointed that out to me yesterday. and I haven't gone into what his exact role is, but said, hey, he's never coached with Jim Schwartz. Obviously, he's aware of his history with the Philadelphia Eagles. Said he's a good coach, and both Vrabel and Schwartz teach physicality, discipline, and the one thing that the Titans do is just pay attention to details, the signs of a good team, and basically said, you've got good players combined with good coaching. There's a reason why the Titans were your number one seed last year, right? Now, I did mention they might run into a little bit of luck. Jeffrey Simmons limited all week with an ankle. Denico Autry not expected to play, likely out with a knee injury. He leads the Titans with 7 sacks, makes Bud Dupree a lot more one-dimensional, right? And then Elijah Molden in the slot out with the groin. Man, I'm looking for Quez Watkins to take big advantage of that. We talked about all the equity that the Titans have invested in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position. The last 3 drafts, they've used, I think, 4 picks inside the top 100, multiple first-round picks on cornerbacks. Sirianni mentioned Kevin Byard, who's got 24 career interceptions. You got to be careful of that. Adams, UConn, I believe, who I think was with the Eagles and the Giants. He mentioned him. And then he mentioned the big 3 that you got to keep a lookout for, 2 of which I just told you might not even play. Denico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons. He was quick to point those 2 guys out, both of whom might not play. Bud Dupree, who came over from Pittsburgh after the ACL injury, and so he's still got some juice. I don't think he's quite the same player that he was pre-injury, but we shall see. I know not having Simmons or Denico Autry should make it much easier for the Eagles to kind of isolate his ass and keep him at bay. Ocam's Razor says, 11 guys on the IR on defense alone. Wow, if that's true, unbelievable. Deborah Clark, thank you for chiming in. Yes, coaching staff needs to step up their game, especially special teams. I hate to tell you, Deborah, Jonathan Gannon is now changing his ways. Jonathan Gannon is going to continue to play a bend but don't break defense. He's going to continue to play quarters coverage, and that's just what it is. Get over it. All right? It's not your Buddy Ryan defense of yesteryear. It's just not going to happen, okay? It's not even your Jim Schwartz of a few years ago, okay? It just hasn't. Has the line moved? That's a good question, because I thought it was at 6.5. Then I thought it went down. I'm glad I got it right, Deborah. I took a wild shot. So every now and then, even a squirrel finds a nut, right? So, hey, Gannon is set in his ways. Listen, that's all that Gannon knows, right? He's a DB coach in his first gig as a defensive coordinator, kind of, I don't want to say a Fangio disciple, but he's a branch from the disciple, from the Fangio tree. He's trying to run the same scheme with quarters coverage, and the Eagles have been able to do a really good job. A lot of it because of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and the communication element. These guys communicate at such a high level, even though Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was a late addition to the team right before the season. The communication on the back end is what has made this such a successful defense. And so Reed Blankenship now steps in, assumes the position. He also met with media, said he's comfortable, he's confident, he's got to rally to the ball, talking specifically about Derrick Henry. We got to stand that big Galuth up, rally to the ball, wrap up, bring him down. It's like tackling an alligator. Cam's razor. Yeah, Jordan Davis, when he returns, who sits? I'm not sure. Nobody's really sitting. JM, I think you're right. Milton Williams probably sees his snap count get eaten into. I think Milton Williams had about 20 reps last week. He's probably the odd man out of the rotation, but I think, Fletcher Cox talked about it yesterday. He said, man, it felt good to have Sue and Joseph back out there again for the second consecutive week, because it alleviates some of the pressure. Remember, he played 70, almost 80 snaps 3 weeks ago. So Fletcher Cox saw his snap count cut in half last week. He only played 40 snaps. So that's a big relief to Fletcher Cox. I think it makes Javon Hargrave more effective, right? And so I don't think it really puts anybody to the bench. I think it means probably fewer reps for Milton Williams, but Milton Williams has played good when he's in there. So I don't think they necessarily want to take him out of the game plan altogether. Now, if you're a frequent listener to the show, then you guys know what I think about Robert Quinn already. But to answer your question, no, they don't need him. I'm not even sure he's much of a decoy at this point. Like, you would like to think a guy that had 20-something sacks last year is, being allocated for creating awareness on the other side of the ball. I don't know. It just seems like Quinn, even when he's in the game, is not in the game. I mean, I can't remember Robert Quinn coming up with a big play in 5 weeks, right? He's been here for over a month. I don't remember him making one big play. I don't remember Robert Quinn showing up once on a Sunday yet. Just saying. You asked. So, no, they don't need Robert Quinn, but you know what? Brandon Graham, you've got the rotation up and down that defensive line. I think what you're hoping for is for the edge guys to play up to snuff. And Joseph and Sue, I thought, were really impactful week one. Not as much last week. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I feel like the defensive tackles are outplaying the edge guys. So I'd like to see Sweat and Reddick and Brandon Graham and Quinn step their game up, because, yeah, I think Quinn could be a useful part, even if he's still a shell of himself. If he can give you something, like Justin Houston is still doing it. If Quinn could give you some kind of life, I mean, golly, it could go a long ways in just keeping those fresh looks, right? When you got a fresh body in there, it helps everybody. But Quinn has got to play to a higher level, man. He's just got to step his game up a little bit. Okay. So Jalen Hurts also met with the media yesterday. There was a comment made by one of the media members that Ric Serritella had alluded to Jalen's kind of in-game anticipation, in-game instincts in terms of coming out on the sidelines and telling the coaching staff, hey, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, or hey, we need to try play so-call and whatnot. And Sirianni said, hey, Jalen's got a lot of money in the bank now based on what he's seeing out there on the field, because when he comes off to the sideline and says we need to try X, Y, and Z, they don't always do it. But Sirianni says more times than not, Hurts is proven to be correct. And, the kitty is going to fill up there soon. So don't worry. I know there's some guys out there in the college football universe making more money than Jalen Hurts this year. Don't worry. Jalen's payday is coming. I can guarantee you that. And then, man, if Jalen Hurts spoke for 10 minutes, man, more than half of it was about his scrambling. And, some of you sat here and told me I was being facetious, or, saying I don't really mean what I say. And, oh, I'm making a big deal about Jalen Hurts and taking too many hits. Well, you think I'm making a big deal about it? It's mild compared to the lines of questioning yesterday. Here we are, week 12. Man, this guy, all he did was get asked about just dumb questions like, Jalen, how did you develop the skill set to elude tackles? This is real talk. This is what was being asked yesterday. And you should have seen the look on his face like, okay, I guess I really have to answer this. And it's like, I don't know. I just avoid big hits. Then he got the follow-up question, right? Some real intense stuff. The follow-up question. Well, is there a happy medium on how much you should run? Guys, come on. They said, listen, there's no master formula. And, it's just like, I get it. Jalen Hurts has got superpowers. He's a master of avoiding hits. He cannot be hurt by hits to the head. He's Jalen Hurts. How could he get hurt? All right. Enough is enough, guys. It's going to happen eventually. I'm with our guy, John McMullen. You can't legislate injuries, but you can do preventative work by limiting Jalen Hurts' touches. That's the bottom line here. And I guess it's just going to be continue to be a constant topic of conversation. But that's just how he plays. It's his style. It's what the Eagles' offense is predicated around. And, Jalen said he's a triple threat. 1 week he's going to beat you with his arm. The next week he's going to beat you with his legs. And then every week he's going to go out and try to beat you mentally. And that's what he enjoys more than anything else. So, let's see. We got Quez Watkins. He said, yeah, he's more than just speed. He's improved his route running. He's improved his blocking. You've seen him play more in recent weeks. I think part of that also is just due to the Dallas Goedert injury and compensating for that. And I think this should be a big week for Quez Watkins with Elijah Molden, their slot cover man, out. I mean, Quez Watkins should be getting a lot of looks this week, I would anticipate. In terms of being asked about the Titans defense, Jalen Hurts said they fly to the football. They're disruptive. They're well coached. They're physical. They're fast. Again, all the traits that Ric Serritella outlined there. So Fletcher Cox, a couple other guys met with the media. Fletcher Cox, I told you, he was so happy to have all these reinforcements. And hey, Paul Mancini, thank you for chiming in and joining us. And that leads me into the defensive tackle conversation, because Fletcher Cox, I thought, let us in on the severity of Jordan Davis's injury. And a lot of people are excited about the 21-day window being opened up. Don't bank on it that Jordan Davis is automatically going to be back this week. Fletcher Cox said that ankle sprain a little bit more serious than maybe meets the eye. And see, this is where, like, Sirianni, he's a player's coach, and I like the vibe. I like the feel of this Eagles team. This is where I feel like, I don't want to say it's a lack of discipline, but Sirianni allows loose lips in the media. He allows his players to open freely. Like, you would never see a Patriots team have a player comment about somebody else's injury. And I've gotten a lot of subtle hits from listening to other Eagles players comment on other Eagles player injuries. You don't hear a lot of teams say, hey, do your job, mind your own business. Don't ever comment on somebody else's injuries. Fletcher Cox, I don't know. He might have let the cat out of the bag with that one. So we'll see. I don't know if we'll get Jordan Davis back this week. If not, maybe next week. Don't worry. Blankenship will play a lot more because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he may not be back until the playoffs. So Reed Blankenship is your new starting safety alongside Marcus Epps, and I expect Blankenship to get the majority of the snaps and a little Kayvon Wallace sprinkled in when needed. Paul Mancini, you're usually on top of it. Yes, we're hoping to watch Jeff Simmons go up against Jason Kelsey. It'll be an all-time heavyweight matchup for the ages, but Simmons has not practiced this week. I know you're tuning in late to the show. He's been limited with an ankle. There's a chance Jeffrey Simmons does not play. So we're going to continue to monitor that situation. We'll have an update tomorrow on the Football Friday episode. Again, Mike Gill from the Sports Bash, Coach John D. Filippo on your Football Friday affair tomorrow. Buckle up. Reed Blankenship also spoke to the media yesterday, said that he's comfortable, confident, and that they're going to rally to the ball and gang tackle Derrick Henry. Javon Hargrave said the same thing. High-level players on the other end of the ball. And then he said, in terms of Sue and Joseph, like, what a boost to the locker room. He said, hey, these are guys that are proven. Sue's won a Super Bowl. He said it's made us It's made us smarter and better, and we're happy to have them. And so that was your Eagles media scrum from yesterday. We got about 15 minutes or so left in the show. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about why Jalen Hurts could potentially win the NFL MVP, but he might not be the MVP on this Philadelphia Eagles team. I'm going to tell you who that is right after the break, and we'll get into some Thursday night football. 7-7, by the way, last week. So on the picks against the spread, 94-69 on the season. I'll give you my selection for this Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots game, which has had a lot of line movement. I'll check in on the Eagles and Titans line to see where that's at, and we'll talk about it right after this.